have to get there. I cannot afford to fail. There's days that I feel like imposter syndrome. You know, what am I doing here? Or, you know, should I even be here?
It is hard to believe where you've come from. It's kind of like, Jesus, is this really me?
Every year, thousands of students in Ireland begin a life-changing adventure through higher education. But for people with a disability or those from disadvantaged backgrounds, dreams of college have often been just that, a dream. But thanks to the success of access and disability programs, a more diverse range of students are getting the supports and encouragement they need to reach their full potential. In this series, we follow 7 university students, each with a set of challenging personal circumstances as they negotiate an unprecedented academic year. Stressful, emotional, and uplifting. From this unique class of 2020, these are the stories of their uni life. Courtney McGrath is in her 3rd year in Business and Sociology in Trinity College Dublin.
I'm from Cavan, but no, you probably won't be able to hear a Cavan accent from me. Because of my lack of hearing, I didn't develop an accent.
Alpha Ike is studying computer science in Maynooth University.
My brother, he done his undergrad in accountancy, so he graduated after 3 years in NUI. But just seeing him there, feeling proud of him as well, like knowing that at least he's going in the right direction, it made my mind up at that time where I didn't know I wanted to go to college, you know.
Róisín Farragher is working towards her PhD in child and youth research at NUI Galway.
I certainly think the last 3 years in particular, it's changed me. It's allowed me to kind of gain a little bit of confidence. I wouldn't have been able to read or write very well as a child.
Shaun Fogarty is studying mobile communications and security at the University of Limerick.
I live at home with my mum and dad, and then I have my brother, Toby, and sister. I've always been kind of a high-paced person. Like before I had the accident, I would have been doing martial arts twice a week, rugby twice a week, and then I would have had the 2 jobs as well on top of that. Like I didn't really like kind of waiting around. I see myself as anyone else. Like I just like to get work done.
Shaun was crazy when he was a little boy. Loved rugby, loved dinosaurs. He was 3 and he was telling everyone he was going to be a paleontologist. He always had big dreams, big aspirations.
Shaun's life changed in 2013 when he was involved in a collision that left him fighting for his life and his future.
A police car drove into our yard and I knew straight away. The lady got out of the car and she said he's been in an accident and he's on his way to Clonmel Hospital. He had 2 broken bones that day. Just the 2 bones, the top of his neck. Any other 2 broken bones, he would have been fine. He had tubes coming out of his mouth, out of wires everywhere. And it's then they kind of said, his injuries are incompatible with life, he's not going to make it. So it was, I think I cried on the way into town because I knew. And I cried when I got to the hospital because I knew. But as soon as she said that, I just said, okay, it's time to put your boxing gloves on now, lady, and get working.
The first thing I remember is waking up in the hospital afterwards, and that was a few weeks after, I think, was the first time. The biggest boost was probably when I started talking and when I met Mum and all that. That was probably a massive turning point.
He was feeling neuropathic pain, which is a kind of a side effect of paralysis that's quite cruel, actually, because despite the fact that you can't move anything, you feel this really, really bad nerve pain. He was suffering from that, but yet he couldn't move, and none of us could understand it, and he was also getting really bad spasms. There were a few days that he asked us to turn off the ventilator and things like that. Heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. I would have given him my spine, but you couldn't do that. We couldn't transplant it if it was his heart or his liver or his lungs. It's the one thing, no matter what they do, they can't fix.
Shaun was over 3 years undergoing intensive rehabilitation to help him recover from his injuries. These included prolonged periods in Dublin and London hospitals, all the time hoping to get the green light to help restart his life.
Sometimes when you be up there and you be like, oh, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait an extra week before you can go home, or it's an extra week, and when that drags into months, you know, it can be like, am I ever going to get back? I'm going to be 40 by the time I can start my course.
For Shaun, just to get to college, it needs a real team effort, with huge commitment from himself, his family, and his dedicated team of carers.
So you're looking forward to a new van, Shaun? You won't be moving as much.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, it can be dangerous. I mean, remember that time your headpiece dislodged? You remember that? He's laughing as well.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember. Could you explain it in greater detail?
Well, you know, you're...
really delve into it. I want to know about the mechanics and all. Like.
22-year-old Courtney McGrath is in her third year of Business and Sociology at Trinity College Dublin. Diagnosed with a deteriorating hearing condition when she was a child, Courtney accessed university through the Disability Access Route to Education, known as the DARE scheme.
When I was 5, I got my first hearing aids, but during my junior cert, my hearing just started to drop and deteriorate. When I was put on the list for cochlear implants, I was very optimistic. I knew this would change my life. Cochlear implants are like advanced hearing aids, but they're connected to your brain. So this is one of my cochlear implants. That's the processor, and then these are the buttons I can turn it on and off. And this is the coil. You just put it up, which you might be able to see my hair, but you put it over the ear, and then this is the magnet. You put it in there, so you can kind of see it. Then, well, luckily I have long enough hair that it wouldn't be that visible. They have to take away your original hearing, so when I don't have these on, I can't hear anything at all.
Courtney grew up in Cavan with her parents Sandra and Leo and her sister Rachel.
Rachel comes home every week because she's in Galway and she gets a lift home every week. Courtney, you get home, what, once a month anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of her speech and because of her hearing, long before she had the cochlear implants, she used to depend on Rachel for a lot of stuff. Like if they went into a shop or anything like that, she would let Rachel do the speaking for her.
I was a bit kind of afraid of just going to college in general and being independent, but it was kind of like being thrown in the deep end a little bit.
So it was good that you both went separate, one to Galway and one went to Trinity and Dublin.
Yeah, so that's...
Yeah.
Because Rachel goes to college and Courtney goes to Trinity.
Yeah. She seems happy, so that's the main thing. All you want her is to be happy. That would have been the fear when at 5 years of age, when we found out that she had hearing loss. And then when she was 16 and then we were told she was gone profoundly deaf, you'd wonder what opportunities were out there. She was always going to go to college, but what was it she was going to do? Was her disability going to hold her back? She has proven that it hasn't held her back. She is just thriving, so we're happy.
A lot of people, they would have kind of presumed that I wasn't capable to go to Trinity, which was kind of disheartening, but I knew myself that that's what I wanted to do and nothing was going to stop me.
Alpha Ike entered Maynooth University through the Higher Education Access Route, more commonly known as HERE. It offers school leavers places on reduced points and extra college supports based on a range of socio-economic factors. Across the country, there are over 2,300 students on the HERE scheme.
Nigeria at the time that we left was a very turbulent place to live. I mean, even now, you have groups like Boko Haram that kidnap children and stuff like that. That was on the news fairly recently. So we sort of immigrated and we started trying to find a new place for ourselves. So it was just me, and my two brothers. So we got moved around from place to place. We got from Dublin, and I think it was to Tipperary, and then to Galway, and then finally ended up in Cavan. So that's why I have this accent now that I'm just stuck with. I was put into foster care, so it was me and my two brothers. We were supposed to be originally split up into 3 different homes, and my foster parents literally said like, nope, these boys will stick together, so they kept us together.
Alpha often returns home to visit his family at weekends. Today, Miranda, his foster mother, is collecting him from Cavan town.
Oh no, but I'm flat out with Miranda. It's no joke, computer science this year. It's actually really annoying because like I can't even do anything. Like all I do is study.
14 years ago I got into fostering. There's 9 of us here. We didn't think we'd have such a big family, but we don't mind because I feel that it's part of my life and I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Alpha did adapt really quickly.
I don't know about that. The start was a bit rough, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Listen, when you come into a whole family network already, that's already formed, that's extremely difficult for anybody to try and fit in.
Yeah.
You know.
It was difficult growing up, and it's hard to fit in, like, because you're so different to everybody here. Like, you're 10 in foster care, you feel like you've done something wrong. Like, you know what I mean? You feel like, you know. So there's a lot of emotion there, and like, you know, it takes a lot of growing up to like realise, look, at the stuff that happened wasn't my fault.
It took a little bit of time for Alpha because he wasn't as sociable as his brothers. He was more quiet, more private. Just by us talking to him and always constantly checking in with him to make sure was there anything needed, could we help him in any way, and that. So he loves school, loves going to school, loves seeing his friends and meeting up with his mates. So all of them together helped him settle in and become the person he has today, which is a very confident, positive young man.
Alpha Ike is a few months into his 3rd year, and he had his heart set on Maynooth University from the very beginning.
When you fill out the CEO, you can pick multiple courses, but I only put them in out. It was Maynooth or nothing, so yeah.
Alpha will be typical to some degree of students that have been in the care system because their lives can tend to have been fragmented. You know, they could move maybe from home to home, and all the time they're trying to hang on to, you know, their educational progression, which is immensely challenging for them. And so he's typical of a student, I think, that received the right support at the right time.
It could have easily gone the other way, do you know what I mean? Like, and I was just fortunate to have good people around me that made me see, like, you know, I could do it, you know, because sometimes, you know, society doesn't exactly expect so much from you. It'd have been just easier to just, like, done nothing and just, like, fail through school. That would have been a lot easier than actually try. We're having an event for Mental Health Society. So we are trying to raise money for the Irish Cancer Society in Ireland, so we're trying to have a tie-dye. So I just think it's very important.
With a keen interest in the supports around mental health, Alpha joined the University Society.
I went into the first meeting and it just went from there. I mean, then I got voted vice president.
Mental health is a major issue for students, you know, across the education sectors, but particularly in higher education. And so he has been very much involved in working with us around taking away the stigma that exists around mental health.
You're on camera. You're on camera, Alpha.
It doesn't have to be overly complex. Like, there's some stuff we do. It's just weekly meetings, and people just sit down and have a cup of tea and just chat to people. Do you know what I mean? Like we have all the informations for all the help sites, you know, crisis centres and everything, and it's just not judgmental. It's just like friends just looking after each other, and we'll have events and we'll do bingos and we'll do stuff to have people to get together and just enjoy being in college and just, you know, make sure that they have a network. I just wanted to help people, you know, whatever way I could.
In NUI Galway, Róisín Farragher accessed her university place through the HERE scheme. She's working towards her PhD at the UNESCO Child and Family Research Centre. Róisín is preparing to attend an international conference in Jerusalem.
So when are you going to the conference in Israel? What's that?
Do you know what? I think we'll fly around the 9th and then come back around the 13th.
She attributes her research interest directly to her experiences as a child and teenager.
You know, I'm looking forward to it, but again, when I was 16, I ran away from home, and then subsequently I was taken into care. I didn't come from a background where education was important. It was more get yourself a job, go out working, and that was it. Almost you had notions if you were going to go to third level afterwards. And that wasn't so long ago, that was only about 10 years ago when I was doing my Leaving Cert. It's about 10 years since I walked into the Access programme, and again, you know, I would have been quite shy, quite reserved. You know, I would have tried to engage and make friends, but I wouldn't have been the smartest tool in the box in that sense. I wouldn't have been able to, you know, turn on the computer. I wouldn't have been able to, you know, write academically or put an argument. I still have trouble even with my grammar and certain things like that. I would have came from a very, very different kind of background or childhood than maybe the average young person. The confidence did come absolutely gradually. I think I'm still building that up to this day. You know, sometimes it goes a little bit, sometimes it comes back. So it's always kind of fluctuated in some sense. But I certainly think once I got a taste for education, I was like, I love this. I love this kind of life.
Róisín's university life has lasted over a decade, and she's now preparing to finish her 4-year PhD. But it hasn't always been plain sailing.
When I started the PhD, of course, it was a shock to the system. It is quite intense at times when you really have to discipline yourself to sit down at a computer and write up a literature review or whatever it is that you're doing. I had amazing, incredible people around me, between friends, between lecturers of support. I have an incredible, encouraging supervisor now to make sure I still finish the PhD and get it out, you know.
So what's good about you that you bring to the research is your past experience, because you know what it's like to be within the care system. And I think that means that your participants can trust you. For you, the most important thing about your research is hearing young people's voices.
Yeah.
You're not going out to prove yourself right. You want to hear what they have to say about family. And what
of course, there's days that I feel like imposter syndrome has come in and, you know, what am I doing here? Or, you know, should I even be here? But there's other days when I'm kind of reassured within that. I had a class the other week where some young person in it disclosed that they were in care too. So I hadn't really said, I just said, look, my research is around children in care and whatever else. And I felt so empowered because I know the stigma behind self-identifying and being in care. I know that stigma follows that and follows the person right through, and the effects of being in care are always there for a young person. They're always there right throughout their life.
Shaun Fogarty is now in his 3rd year of his degree course at University of Limerick. Despite his injuries and prolonged rehabilitation, Shaun's decision to return to college was never going to be in doubt.
Shaun was very serious about coming back to college. We had very little experience of someone with the level of injury that Shaun has. So we were really starting from scratch.
The biggest challenge that faced me getting back to university was finding a place that could accommodate the needs that I had there in terms of getting into classrooms and facilitating different labs. I think they were slightly nervous about getting me back at first, which is understandable. So we went back on a trial basis in the college for first year, where we just did a couple of shorter modules just to make sure everything was accessible and all that. I feel myself I would have been able to go back full-time immediately, but I think it was good to have everything set up as well, just in case, I suppose.
Shaun is an absolute first at what has happened here. There's nobody in this country with that level of injury who's in full-time education and hoping to be going on a placement. That is an incredible thing, and that's absolutely driven by Shaun, nobody else. It definitely is such a plus to see an incredibly positive attitude from someone like Shaun. It actually kind of leaks out from him because you want to do things because you know he genuinely really wants to succeed.
It's great to get back in there. It was very exciting because I was really held up in the hospital for most of the time before that, so it was very exciting. It all kind of came in with getting back home and getting into college. It all kind of came together, so it was a great feeling to be able to get back to a semblance of real life.
I suppose when he first came to college, I had huge detachment issues. Since Shaun had had his accident, I had spent every waking minute with him. And all of a sudden, he was tootling off to college with his nursing care, and I was there going, oh my God. So the first day he's up there, and I don't think anybody really knows this yet, it's a bit of a secret, I drove up after him, drove around Limerick for a while and had the phone just in case, and I knew he was only spending a couple of hours up here, so I made sure I was home before him.
I came out last year in December. I do feel like I was suppressing my sexuality because of my disability. I was too busy worried about my hearing to be worried about, am I gay, am I straight, what's going on? You know, I felt like it was easier to just pretend to be like everyone else. So it's nice that in college it allows you to express yourself and be yourself. Now I have a girlfriend and we're together 8 months now, so it's been good. She's the president of the student union and I'm the disability officer, so we always have a lot to talk about. I had my first meeting with the committee on Monday and it went really well. They all seemed very passionate. It was very hard to say no to any interviews. I just wanted them all in the committee. But they also... Last year, my girlfriend Laura was the disability officer before me, so I was on her committee. So there I got a taste for it, that there was events that could be made. I organised a panel for a disability women's panel for Women's Week, which was really good. That kind of made me more interested that I wanted to help more people. So I ran for it in March and I ran against 2 people and I got it. So I was very delighted and I love everything that I do for it. It feels rewarding. You were, but the 2 of you weren't.
As the first semester comes to an end, the students are looking ahead to the next phase of their academic year.
College work has just been mounting up, but I got a job software testing at the airport, which is going to be so much fun. Can't wait to do a proper job.
Hello, it's the 3rd of December and it's International Persons with Disabilities Day. So right now I'm going to go to college and I'm wearing purple, that's the colour for it, and we're going to get a photo in front of Trinity with the purple lights.
It's our last day here in Jerusalem, unfortunately. My presentation was about my research methodology and how young people in Ireland who have experience of the care system understand and experience family. I was really happy on how it was received, and I leave with certainly more ideas to carry into my own work. We have had an amazing, incredible journey here.
Next week on My Uni Life.
At the moment, my uni life is at home in Cavan.
No idea what day of the week it is. I think it's Monday today, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's a Monday.
You know, something you'd see in a movie, or like you're just in shock.
It's not really how any of us expected anything to happen. I never expected that my graduation would be held in my sitting room